Welcome back to Everyday Insights, the podcast that helps you master English grammar one cringe-worthy story at a time.
I still don't understand why all my stories have to be the cringe ones. Honestly, every time I think I have a cool, successful story, Emma just finds a way to twist it into a lesson about past mistakes. This is so unfair. But I guess if my embarrassment helps thousands of English learners understand complex grammar, then maybe it's worth it.
Today, we're tackling a super relevant topic, the impact of AI on job hunting. And grammatically, we're diving deep into reported speech and the third conditional.
Okay, so you know I applied for this super hot job. It's one of those cutting-edge positions that everyone is talking about in the tech world. The application mentioned the first interview would be with an autonomous AI agent. They said that the agent would assess candidates based on real-time problem solving. They also explained that this was their new, highly efficient, bias-free method for the first stage. Emma had warned me that these systems are incredibly literal. But did I listen? Of course not.
Right, the new standard. No human gatekeepers for the initial screening. Sounds efficient.
Efficient, yes. Human, no. I spent the whole week preparing. I was absolutely obsessed. I told my neighbor that I had been practicing prompt engineering for 8 hours a day. I even confessed to my mum that I was spending more time talking to chatbots than to real people. It felt like studying for a final exam where the professor was a robot. I looked up dozens of articles. I read the company's entire white paper. I even watched a 4-hour masterclass on advanced neural network prompting just to be sure. I said to myself that no human recruiter would ever have asked such specific questions, so I needed to be prepared for the worst. I was so confident. I even prepared a dozen jokes to make the AI laugh. I thought that it might appreciate my sense of humor. I assumed that showing a little personality would make me stand out from all the other candidates, who were probably just giving dry, textbook answers. I practiced delivering my answers with a confident, friendly tone, just as the career coach had advised me to do during mock interviews. I was so focused on the delivery that I completely forgot about the content integrity.
Wait, Alex, an AI interview? Jokes? I told you not to do that.
Exactly. And here's the first conditional for you. If I had listened to you, I wouldn't have made that fatal mistake. Seriously, if I had only taken your advice seriously, the whole situation would have been avoided. But my ego was too big. I believed that my natural charm would win over even a cold machine. What a ridiculous thought. So, the interview starts. It's a flat, calm, synthetic voice. The agent, which called itself Aura, asked me what I considered to be my biggest weakness. It was a standard question, but when asked by a digital entity that might be analyzing my vocal fluctuations for signs of deception, it felt terrifying. Aura inquired about any professional flaws that could impact my performance in a high-stakes AI environment, and it sounded completely devoid of emotion. I knew I needed to give a safe answer. I panicked, of course. I prepared a very corporate answer, I work too hard, or I sometimes get too focused on details. But instead, my brain short-circuited. I suddenly remembered that I had promised myself to be authentic because the job description had specified that authenticity was a core company value. I took a deep breath, thinking I was about to deliver a brilliant moment of self-awareness. So I said, my biggest weakness is being overly reliant on Gen AI to write emails. I explained that sometimes, especially on a Friday afternoon, I let the AI structure my entire correspondence, only proofreading the first sentence. I confessed that I sometimes even forgot to change the AI's suggested closing line, which once resulted in a formal email ending with a recommendation for a new crypto investment.
Oh no, Alex. You admitted to the AI agent that you rely on another AI for basic tasks during an AI job interview?
I know. It was pure, unadulterated cringe. Aura, the agent, went silent for 5 excruciating seconds. It was the longest silence of my life. I could hear my own breathing echoing in the microphone. I thought, maybe it's buffering. Then, it informed me that my honesty was statistically anomalous for a candidate at this level. The agent stated that the current company policy considered over-reliance on external tools as a severe risk factor in prompt engineering roles. I felt the digital hammer drop right there. I tried to recover. I told the joke I'd prepared. I said, "Why did the programmer quit his job? Because he didn't get a raise." I even followed it up with a nervous giggle. I hoped that the agent would recognize the cultural relevance of the pun, which is apparently what I do when I am stressed.
A classic, but definitely not for an autonomous assessment agent.
Exactly. Aura replied that humor processing was not part of the initial screening protocol and immediately moved on to the technical part. The agent insisted that I stop attempting to inject non-essential content into the interview flow. This made me even more nervous. I remember thinking, if I had just kept quiet, I would be fine right now. The agent then demanded that I write a complex prompt to make an image-generating AI create a hyper-realistic image of a cat wearing a tiny business suit and holding a briefcase. The prompt had to include specific parameters like 4K resolution, ray-traced lighting, cinematic depth of field, and a precise negative prompt list. The agent specified that the output needed to demonstrate an understanding of high-detail visual prompt construction. I was so rattled that I used the word cute instead of hyper-realistic, and I forgot to specify the style. I was typing so fast that my fingers slipped. I used kawaii instead of photorealistic. I told the agent that the cat should look adorable because I thought it would be a nice touch. The AI took my prompt, and after a moment, the screen showed a little, fluffy, almost cartoon-like cat in a suit. Not the photorealistic CEO cat it was supposed to be. It was a failure of communication, a failure of focus, and a total failure of prompt engineering.
Oh dear. A cute corporate cat. That sounds like a fail.
It was a fail. The rejection email arrived 2 hours later. It stated that my prompting strategy showed insufficient attention to detail, and my candor regarding Gen AI reliance was noted. The email also mentioned that my attempt at low-utility humor was considered a distraction from the task at hand. I forwarded the email to Emma and simply wrote, "I told you I was relying on the wrong AI."
Well, you certainly learned a lesson.
So many things. If I hadn't told the agent about my weakness, it wouldn't have flagged me as anomalous. I mean, that one statement pretty much sealed my fate. If I had answered with the corporate line, the interview would have continued normally. But I had to be the authentic one. Another one. If I had remembered the correct prompt words, I would have gotten a perfect score on the technical test. If I had taken an extra 5 seconds to proofread my prompt, I wouldn't have put cute in there. And here's the biggest one. If I hadn't prepared those terrible jokes, I wouldn't have been distracted during the crucial moment, and I would have stayed focused on the technical requirements. My own poor judgment was my undoing. I wish I could say I've learnt my lesson about autonomous AI, but honestly, I just feel embarrassed. My post-interview analysis was actually more painful than the interview itself. I downloaded the transcript of the entire session. Aura criticized my use of the word rattled as being colloquial and imprecise for a formal setting. It suggested that I should have used distracted or perturbed instead. I was being rejected for my vocabulary. It was a brutal lesson in formal English, which I suppose is good for this podcast. So, here are my final regrets, all in the third conditional for our listeners. If I had spent less time on jokes, I would have spent more time on syntax. If I had used formal vocabulary, the agent wouldn't have flagged my language as inappropriate. If I had taken the process seriously from the start, I would have been celebrating a new job right now. But since I didn't, here I am, telling a cringe story to help you with your B1-B2 grammar. You're welcome.
Excellent summary, Alex. Let's use your pain for our students' gain. This is where the third conditional and reported speech really shine, students. When Alex says, "If I hadn't told the agent about my weakness, it wouldn't have flagged me as anomalous," he is talking about a hypothetical situation in the past and its resulting hypothetical outcome. The structure is if plus past perfect, subject plus would, wouldn't have, plus past participle. When he is simply retelling the conversation, he uses reported speech. For example, Aura asked me what I considered to be my biggest weakness, where we change the question structure into a statement and shift the verb tense backward. Remember, these two structures are essential for retelling stories and expressing regrets.
I still feel the urge to call them back and say, I wish I'd been more professional. I wish I'd prepared for an AI interview with the same logical precision that a coder uses. I wish I'd concentrated on the core technical skills instead of trying to be funny. I wish I'd just listened to Emma. I just hope I don't have to face an autonomous AI agent again for a while. Next time, I'm going to pretend to be a robot myself. I will make sure that my answers are perfectly optimized for machine learning evaluation. That's what I'm going to do. The next time, I won't tell the AI anything about my life. I will only provide cold, hard data.
That's another great regret structure. Well, Alex, your disaster is a brilliant grammar lesson.
Emma, let's create a shared sign-off and always do it the same way.
Yes, let's do it. I love that we not only teach our listeners, but also develop ourselves and make our podcast better every time. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
To all our listeners, remember to practice your English grammar every day. We release new episodes every single day, and tomorrow is Emma's turn to share her most embarrassing story, so you definitely don't want to miss that. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that bell icon, and smash the like button on this video. Goodbye everyone, and we'll see you tomorrow.